everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is April the 18th, 2024, and this is a video format that I haven't done in a while, or at least it feels like I haven't done it in a while. It's a ride along with me presentation of what's going on in my neck of the woods. So today, there are two vultures that I'm passing right now on the opposite traffic light. I don't know if you would get to see them or not. But anyway, I'm pointing them out because, like every walk of life, humanity is also filled with opportunistic animals. And those opportunistic animals will oftentimes try to resonate or validate their own importance based on who they interact with or claim to have interacted with. So, if I were to put it into perspective in a way that maybe put me on the hot seat, I used to work at a car dealership here in my city that dealt in high-end sports cars. And my city is San Antonio. And here in San Antonio, we have a pretty good collection of participants, including professional sports teams, like the San Antonio Spurs. And so I would get to see the Spurs quite often. And I used to be a pretty good fan of basketball, not for the Spurs, although I became a fan of the Spurs while I was working at the car dealership where I happened to interact with a lot of Spurs. Just as an example, Sean Elliott came over quite a bit, and even naming his name puts me in a category where, again, I'm possibly asserting my credibility and importance by naming this individual. So it might have been a slip, it might have been on purpose, but whatever it was, the point is, Sean Elliott is an incredible athlete. He was an incredible athlete. He continues to be an incredible person, for all I know. I haven't really kept up with the news or anything, but I can't say any differently because I actually did meet him, and I got to be invited to his house, and we played NBA Jam on his arcade game, his full-size arcade game that he had in his house. That was an experience. That was an experience that many people who have, quote-unquote, hung out with Spurs players will never, ever get to experience. And so for that reason, maybe I do feel a little bit proud or acknowledged that I got to talk with such a prolific individual. But that was as a child. That was as a child when something like that mattered to me. So recently I've had conversations with people that have sort of missed the mark. And for an example, and I'm going to link to the video, recently someone started to have communications with me where they immediately asked me who I was talking to and in the video. And if it's not clear by now, for all of you who are watching, I am definitely talking with you, not to you, not at you, not about you. Even if Sean Elliott himself was watching this video, I'm talking with you. And the reason I'm talking with you is because you have the free opportunity to present a response on this medium, or even by clicking on the description or the about page to find out other ways to continue a conversation that is currently ongoing with me right now. And the clarity with which we talk with one another can sometimes be interfered with, just like a while ago when I had someone in my lane on the right-hand side and someone passing me on the left-hand side in an unusual way. It was almost like as if something was trying to distract me from the train of thought, where I was, again, presenting with you, whether you're Sean Elliott or not, and with you, whether you're talking sports with me or not. And as I present this communication, I want to reiterate that many of the things that I talk about with you have a lot to do with spiritual well-being. When we are under any kind of spiritual attack, one of the things we want to do is remain calm. And it's very hard to remain calm when it's an egocentric internal battle that's governing how we perceive and or respond with one another. Not to a specific person, with one another. Because in the long run, we want people to feel happy with us. That's not something that's an egocentric thing. That's an innate, known condition of wanting to live in peace. When we don't want to live in peace, we go about ourselves destroying, killing, stealing, and destroying. And many of the things that our actions will reveal sometimes can only be revealed at certain levels of exacerbation. And if someone has an unlimited amount of resources, just for an example, former leaders of the nation, current leaders of the nation, and whether it's my nation or other nations, it doesn't matter. They might have so much wealth or implied wealth that they can walk about free, doing things that other people wouldn't be able to do after being accused of certain situations. So just to put it into an example, with certain levels of superstardom come great amounts of wealth. That wealth doesn't necessarily equate to health, be it mental, spiritual, or physical. Those types of wealth mean nothing. To have pride in oneself because of an amount of wealth, or what we drive, or what we're able to do, or who we talked with, or how we're able to point out what we think someone can do better would be. To have that kind of pride is a false persona. It's a false image. Because many people are walking around happy with their false images. Sometimes when they reflect it at someone who reflects it back to them properly, it can become unnerving and it can cause people to panic. And so for that reason, when you say things that could be conceived of as being born in duality, like for an example, if I were to say, you will get everything you deserve, that may sound offensive. May sound offensive when people are trying to slow you down, but maybe that slowdown was necessary so that we could slow down and witness with one another what it is that was being talked about to begin with. For some people who watch my videos, they'll watch my videos and say, who are you talking to? Why did you do it in the garage? Why is this shot in this kind of an angle, a wide shot or a narrow shot? Why is this an up close point of view? Why? They'll never hear what we were talking about. And they'll never hear what we were talking about because they were too distracted. It's easy to become distracted in this world where the entity breeding one another, breeding us all to either kill, steal, or destroy is running the show. And if you don't think that's what's running the show, test the spirit. Spirit of truth. Spirit of truth doesn't want to continue to bring people down. The spirit of truth doesn't want to continue to cause other people discomfort. The Spirit of Truth wants to bring one another together to celebrate this thing that we know as life, this opportunity that we have with one another to bring each other up, to raise one another's vibrational frequency, if you would put it that way, to raise our spirits to a place of joy and happiness. That's what the Spirit of Truth comes to do. And so for anyone else who's sitting on the fringe of trying to communicate but not knowing how to communicate without trying to get a jab in, get the last word in, never answer questions, some of these thoughts might sound possibly offensive, possibly distracting, possibly they'll cause us to not be able to see one another or even hear one another, what we're talking about. Because for whatever reason, the Spirit of Truth does not present itself in everybody. I think that we have to accept peace into our heart. Some people might call it all kinds of different things. Accept God, Jesus, Buddha. Some people will use different words, different examples. And in all of these examples, there is either a liberal amount of fiction or there's a continuous amount of truth. And those kind of things are things that we can only see when we test the spirit. So on this channel, I talk a lot about truth. And the truth is doing all that I can to enjoy the circumstances that are presented to me in this world that's giving me so many opportunities where I might need to be narrowing down my choices to where they're specifically laser focused on what it is that helps me to bring the message of truth and joy to everyone else the same way that I can bring it to myself, and happiness. Yesterday, I walked on a trail system and I had a heart arrhythmia type situation occur. Today, I might not have been here. I might not have been here for many events where this circumstance has occurred. And I might not have been actively listening in the past when I was a child, but as these inevitable finalities present themselves to me, at least, it helps me to hone my active listening skills and to actually fully communicate with anyone who is willing to communicate, and to immediately discern whether the person who is communicating with me is doing so in faith. So for those of you following along and understanding and acknowledging, I appreciate it. For those of you who are questioning why I did this in this room, why I filmed this in one format, or whether I am presenting any kind of tendencies, remember, I'm just a mirror. I'm a mirror to you. So that's why it's so easy for me to communicate with you, because I see you and you and I are a lot alike. That should make sense. But as we know, and as I'm going to link to the video in this particular instance, there are some people who might need a little bit more encouragement to communicate better. And so for that reason, the information I've listed in my description for the past, a couple of dozen videos, if not more, has insight into what you can do if you want to try to help out my circumstances or my father's or even anyone else's fathers, mothers, however you want to put it. If you want to help one another out in order to help us to learn to communicate better, check out my description. There's a little bit in there. It's not the only page that you can choose from to learn how to encourage one another so that we can reciprocate that encouragement back to you. It's not the only medium that you can watch. You can look anywhere, and you can also look and see who's there just simply trying to sell things and who's there trying to actually help us to have a better day. So I'm working on my health. It's been very challenging with all of the challenges. There haven't been any challengers so far, but with all the challenges, it's something that I just don't want to spend a whole lot of time on. That's why I'm multitasking, and that's why I'm about to go and take care of a certificate that I received and enjoy the gifts that have been bountifully bestowed upon me. And yeah, that's about it. So I know it says rentals here. I guess they rent out music equipment, but I'm at Guitar Center and I'm about to enjoy some time looking at the instruments available to me for helping me to communicate more effectively, possibly in a different format, possibly in a wide angle shot, possibly wherever I might be, but none of it will be characteristic based on what someone wants me to do based on an egocentric request, just as a heads up. So hope that makes sense. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.